What's up, spirit souls? I hope you're having a fantastic day and welcome to my channel. For those of you who are new here, I'm Chaitanya Das, and here is where I come to talk about things like spirituality, self-development, relationships, fitness, the law of attraction, and so much more. But most importantly, I talk about all these things in connection to the supreme intelligence behind the stringent laws of material nature, in connection to the one known in the Vedic scriptures as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the all-attractive one, Kṛṣṇa. I sincerely hope you enjoy the content. If you do, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's good karma. Also, if you'd like more information on how you can live a happier and more fulfilling life, please take a look at my website, link in the description below. There you will find wonderful resources designed specifically to assist you with achieving that goal. Now, before I jump right into it, let me roll the intro. 3, 2, 1, let's go. Mindset. How exactly do we go about changing or improving our mindset? How do we take back control, reclaim our real happiness, and start living a fulfilling and inspiring life? First, the thing to do is to diagnose the problem. What exactly is wrong with our mindset now to begin with? And how can we address this issue? Well, not to alarm you, but for a lot of us, there's probably a lot of things wrong with our mindset. It's fairly common, and it's very much a sign of the times to feel lost. I can guess that you aren't completely happy with where you are in your life right now. Maybe you don't even like who you are right now, and maybe that's why you're watching this video. But if what you're doing right now is working for you, then great. But if it's not, or it could be working better, then something needs to change. And I know that what I'm going to tell you right now, it's not very popular, but it's the truth. So to get right to it, if you don't know or you're not really aware of whom you really are and what your constitutional position really is as a living being, all your endeavors are not only a waste of time, quite literally, but they will place you more and more at a disadvantaged position. And what do I mean by that? You see, most people operate under the assumption that they are what they see in the mirror. The physical body, and therefore the quote-unquote doers of activity. But the truth is that this is the biggest illusion affecting our material existence. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 27, Kṛṣṇa says, "The bewildered spirit soul, under the influence of the three modes of material nature, thinks himself to be the doer of activities, which are actually carried out by nature." And that takes me back to what I was just saying regarding knowing who we really are. You see, in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the golden avatar who is understood to be none other than Kṛṣṇa himself in the mood of his topmost devotee, he says, "It is the constitutional position of the living entity to be an eternal servant of Kṛṣṇa, because he is a marginal energy of Kṛṣṇa and a manifestation simultaneously one and different from the Lord, like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire." Please don't get caught or discouraged by the word servant here. This goes much deeper than what we're conditioned to believe. But this is a conversation for another time. The point is, basically, we are not this material body. We are energy, spirit souls living a material experience. So with that in mind, here are some starting points that can help us see precisely what needs to change so we can improve our mindset. Taking responsibility for everything. The mini problem that many of us have is that we don't take responsibility for our actions and for what happens to us. I know I just quoted a verse in the Gita where Kṛṣṇa himself is saying that we, the spirit souls, are not the doers of activity. Instead, the activities are being carried out by nature. But we have to understand that the activities are being carried out by the material energy according to what we have desired. Man proposes and God disposes. I'm sure you heard of that before. So still, the idea of taking responsibility for what happens to us can really help us with moving in the right direction. Now, we all know people that don't like taking responsibility. They will blame others and they will make excuses for what they think or for how they're acting. These are the people with an external locus of control. And while this might seem like an irritating problem for people around them, the reality is that this is a much deeper issue that affects them more than it does anyone else. Because a complete refusal to accept responsibility means that we also reject our own autonomy and our ability to change. If we believe that nothing is our fault, then we also really can't take credit for anything that goes well. Moreover, it means that we don't have any power over our lives, and it means that we can't choose to change things. Or it's not up to us, it's up to chance. It gets worse too. If we are too used to avoiding responsibility, then chances are that we will avoid taking responsibility for other things in our lives as well. That means we will avoid making commitments to people, which might make us feel quote-unquote free, but ultimately means that we get left behind as those around us move into happy relationships and fulfilling careers. Being afraid of responsibility will even make us less impressive, decisive, and confident in a day-to-day scenario. When someone asks us to make a decision, we will not want to because we don't want to be responsible for what happens if something goes wrong. And unfortunately, life has made it all too easy for us to learn this lack of responsibility. We are sheltered by so much technology, and for the most part, it has become easier to shift blame and point our fingers at others, holding them responsible for what is happening to us. What can we do to fix it? We will explore this in more depth in other videos. But the key is to acknowledge that we must learn to accept responsibility for whatever happens to us in our lives. Accept that there will be times when things go quote-unquote wrong, and it's always our fault. And that is what, when seen from the proper perspective, will give us the strength to start taking more chances and making more bold decisions. We care too much about what others think. Ultimately, taking responsibility comes down to doing away with fear. This is another topic that we're going to address more in future videos. But for now, let's hone in one very specific example of fear. One very specific cause. That is that we care too much about what others think. This is something that for many of us occupies a lot of our thoughts, and something that can actually be quite tiring. Many of us will simply not do something if we think is going to make us look unusual, if we think it will elicit stares. Not only that, but caring too much about what others think is what sometimes makes it so hard for us to take responsibility for things. We don't want to seem to be weak or to lose the trust and respect of other people. And you know what the biggest irony of this is? It is the refusal to take action and take responsibility that actually makes people lose respect. This is what makes us appear weak. Many of us also struggle to go after the things that we want in life because we're too busy worrying about pleasing others. We're so busy saying yes to invitations that we really don't want to go to, and spending money on things that we think we should own, that we don't have the resources left to spend on things that really matters to us. And this, of course, greatly limits what we are capable of and the quality of our lives. Now, I'm not telling you to forget about other people entirely and to become a beep. That certainly is not going to improve your life. But learn the subtle difference. Care if you and other people are happy. Don't care about what other people think of you. This is the most heroic mindset because it means you will do kind things for people without even telling anyone. But at the same time, you will be much happier because you won't be living up to the expectations of other people. You'll be able to take more responsibility for yourself, and you'll have one less huge thing causing you stress. So, how do you make the switch? It's easier said than done, of course, but the key to getting started is to stop holding yourself to the standards of others and to start holding yourself only to your own standards. Judge yourself on your own terms and by your own code of conduct. Obviously, I don't want to disregard the absolute necessity of trusting and surrendering our quote-unquote independence to a bona fide spiritual master or guru for real spiritual advancement. Because ultimately, for us to be able to act accordingly and benefit not only ourselves but everybody and everything, we have to align with three main principles, namely Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. And again, this is probably a subject for another video. But surrendering will be made easier if we are confident in ourselves and our quote-unquote ability to make decisions based on what we think, feel, and want for ourselves, instead of what others think about us. We are impulsive and reactive, and this really is something that has been exacerbated by modern technologies and convenience. Did you know that our attention span has deteriorated over recent decades? The reigning view is that this is caused by time spent on the internet. When we read a blog post, we can skip across the headlines and the bullet points and then stop reading. Often, we will get our information from YouTube or Twitter. When we think we found the piece of information that we want, we can close the tab and move on to the next thing. And it will be there in seconds. We've become very good at quickly skimming and assimilating information, but we've trained ourselves out of sustaining our attention and concentration. And this is then made a lot worse by all the other things, vying for our attention and all the other immediate gratification that we get. We have all the food, all the entertainment, all the gratification that we could possibly need right at our fingertips. Much of it is quote-unquote free. Nothing is really free. Everything, and I mean everything, comes with a price. And much of it can be served up in seconds, depending on your internet speed. Adverts are designed with bright colors and attractive faces to grab our attention. There's noise everywhere, and thus we have become incredibly reactive. Every one of these distractions that leads to reward will trigger a dopaminergic response. Eating a sweet, streaming a show, playing a computer game, watching a YouTube video, etc. This completely undermines our ability to control our attention and to decide what we want to look at, how we want to behave. So when we sit down to work towards a massive deadline, it should come at no surprise that the first thing we do is check Facebook or Instagram, or make tea, or grab a snack, etc. How do we get out of this rut? One of the simplest fixes is to try meditation. Meditation teaches us to take conscious control of our mind, to be more in the moment, and to avoid distractions. This can help us to become incredibly more disciplined and focused, and can certainly do away with a lot of procrastination and impulsivity. I actually made a video talking about meditation, and you can check it out right here. We are disengaged and tired. The other big problem that prevents us from achieving what we want, and that causes a whole lot of unhappiness, is quote-unquote laziness. And I say quote-unquote because I don't really believe people are lazy. I believe people are disinterested and disengaged. Most of us know what we should be doing, but we lack the effort to do it. When given a chance, we will take the easier route. In the short term, this seems great. It means we'll get to spend the evening on the couch with a bag of chips and watching our favorite Netflix show. But in the long term, it means we lack the stimulus for growth. And guess what? Growth is perhaps the most important thing we need to be able to move towards happiness, because we're never still or stable. If we're not going forward, we're going backwards. If we're not growing, we are regressing. If we don't exercise, then our muscles atrophy. But likewise, if we don't use our brain, and if we don't challenge our mind, we will slowly lose the ability to do it efficiently. Worse, we will unlearn to focus and direct our mind. Part of this is stress and tiredness, because the problem is that we typically lead such stressful, busy, and fast-paced lives that we simply have no energy left at the end of the day to do anything about it. And is it any surprise? Not really. We all know the state of the world nowadays. and how it is affecting our mental state. And for many of us, you can add malnutrition on top of it. Halogen lights too, loud noises, air pollution, etc. All these things upset the body and cause physical stress. These put us farther into the flight or fight state, and the body simply can't tell the difference. This exhausts us, and that is what makes us choose the fast food in the cupboard, and is what makes us skip the workout. It's also what causes us to argue with our partners and not have time for our kids. And it's not even the time that is the issue here, so much as energy. When we are not clear about who we really are, and we are not engaged in purposeful, fulfilling work, our psychological energy becomes a finite resource. So it is important to start realizing who we really are, so we can tap into the infinite source of energy present inside each and every one of us. It means finding space in your life so that you can stop reacting and being in fight or flight, so you can start to become proactive and make your way onto your inspired path. And that takes me back to the quote from the Gita that says, "We are not the doers of activity." Understanding that we are actually not the ones doing whatever we're doing, but instead material nature is, quote unquote, compelling us to act according to what we have desired. It's important we focus our attention on what our desires really are and how we are approaching the fulfillment of those desires. The part and parcel can only be complete and fulfilled when consciously connected to the whole. But enough of what I think. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And as always, if you'd like more information on how you too can live a happier and more fulfilling life, take a look at my website. There you will find wonderful resources designed specifically to assist you with achieving that goal. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and until next time, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna.
Mahaprabhu came to teach us practically how you keep Kṛṣṇa constantly. What is required for that purpose? Stupid mind thinks that object or that person whom it likes, isn't it? Whom it likes. Kṛṣṇa is only object of love. Everything is related to Kṛṣṇa. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti mattva bhajanti man buddha bhava samannita. Kṛṣṇa says this thing in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvam pravartate iti mattva bhajanti man buddha bhava samannita. I am the source of all emanations. Everything has emanated from me. That means everything, everybody, whatever you see and find here is related to Kṛṣṇa. Is there anything or anybody or anything which is not related to Kṛṣṇa? Nothing there. If you have not developed love for Kṛṣṇa, how can you keep Kṛṣṇa in your mind, stupid mind? Huh? Will it be possible? Huh? No, not possible. So, one should develop love for Kṛṣṇa. That is what.